till I die, Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die.
Good evening. Can everybody hear? Because I didn't get the music come through at all. Right. Well, good evening, everybody. Good being a pejorative word, I guess, at the moment, after what was an absolutely horrific afternoon at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today, where we were beaten 3-0 at home by Nottingham Forest. Whatever else one expected today, I don't think anybody in their worst nightmares thought that we would get beat 3-0 by, let's be honest, what is a very, very ordinary Nottingham Forest team. To discuss with me, I do have an excellent panel at least. I'll start at the bottom. I know who was at the game and has just come on stage. No doubt he'll have plenty of things to say. Jose from El Tel Cocorel. Good evening, Jose.
Good evening, gentlemen. Yeah, it's nice to be back with you. I haven't been here for a while, so it's nice to be back with you guys. To munch over, not only today for me, but to munch over what's been happening, just not today, because it's not just about today. It is.
No, it's not about today. In fact, the show that I had planned has changed completely. Talking about team selection and subs and what have you. Yeah, we can discuss it in passing, but it's really, that's just peripheral.
Yeah.
Bottom left-hand corner, my favourite Brummie. Si, good evening. Si, you were at the game as well, were you?
Yeah, I was here and just got back home 10 minutes ago. So it was a quick 8 this morning till like nearly 8 o'clock tonight. So I was expecting to come back and come on in a much happier mood than I am, to be honest.
Well, we have a knack of being able to cheer each other up, even though I think that it's not easy to find positives today. But thanks to the two of you for coming straight on from getting home. Someone also living in mainland Europe or in mainland Europe, so didn't have to endure it today. Top right, Frankfurt, Phil King. Good evening, Phil.
Evening, Ian. Evening, Adrian. Evening, guys. Yeah, great to be on again, as always. Similarly, I expected, to be honest, to be celebrating a win today. I let my optimism grow after the last couple of games, and perhaps a bit too much so. And planned my whole weekend around kind of today's game, and sun was shining today. It was all feeling good, and I've got to be honest, I'm feeling empty about the team, about the club, about the future. So there's a lot to get into. Yeah.
Good evening, Adrian. You were at the game as well, so we've got plenty of comments from you. And I'm going to start with you, because when we were looking at the scenes before the game, the pictures from Tottenham High Road were like, this is a party. We are going to so do it. Did you get that feeling?
I didn't actually see that, but me, Kev, and Tom, we met Connor F and Luke Samuels, and they told us how good it was, because I went straight to the podium because there's no trains. So I was bussing up there. So I thought, I'm not going to do anything else. I want to see how long we're stuck in traffic and all that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I didn't see the scenes, but I see clips of them afterwards. It looked fantastic. I mean, you always know one thing about a fan base here. I mean, if worst come to worst, we got relegated, they will moan like hell, but they're loyal. They'll still turn up. You know what I mean? They're still going to turn up for these games. I mean, there's 50,000 for Real Madrid during the week, right? I mean, they're going to turn up. They're going to vent their spleens and they're going to turn up. But thanks for the guys showing up, because I mean, we're all stalwarts. We show up for these shows and try to give an honest opinion and assessment on what's going on.
Sure.
Well, you'll do that tonight. So back to you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. 60 odd of you are watching already online on various media. So look, thanks for that, because this cannot be easy to listen to. A good few regulars. I'll just say hi. I mean, Roger, there's a point that Roger makes that was actually came up before the show started. 2-3-0 defeats to Forest shows exactly how bad we are. I want to argue with that, and I can't. I absolutely can't. Simon's on. Simon's in the house. Good evening, Simon. Brian Knight. Yeah, good evening, King Hoddle. We're just a poor team, badly coached. Opposing teams need to absorb first half, eventually pick us off in moments. We lack resilience. Well, look, there's actually quite a lot to get into. So let me start with you, Si, because here is the question. I mean, as a club, we now have 7 matches to save our Spurs, save our season, and I don't know the answer to this. I'm a man with a lot of opinions, probably why I enjoy hosting, and maybe people listening to have some opinions. I have no idea at this moment in time what we do, other than I think we'll talk about Tudor in a minute. What are your own thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm the same as you, Ian. I don't know where to go other than letting Tudor go and bringing in someone who's got Tottenham in their blood. But for me, us as a fan base, today, we did everything we possibly could as a fan base to push those players. You know, players in the past have said that we don't get behind them. The stadium can be quite toxic recently, booze. We were behind them for about 88 minutes of that game. And the welcoming, I was there when the team bus pulled in. It was fantastic. And I just thought, we've done our part. It's up to you on the pitch. And they still didn't do it. So, I mean, from our side, I'm lost. What more can we do? I just think, we've got to. All we've got left is hope. That's all I think. I'm just really worried.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it, Jose, 4 or 5 games ago. We got rid of Frank. I thought that was a decision that should have been made way earlier, but still, we got rid of Frank. We had games like Palace at home, Fulham away, Forest. Yeah, we would lose to Arsenal, we would lose to Liverpool, but there were enough points potentially, Palace at home, Fulham away, Forest at home, for us to get out of the danger zone pretty easily, Jose. And it's just all gone to pot.
It's not just about today.
No.
You guys, I mean, Ian, you see me, I met you at the stadium. Adrian, I meet you every time before a match. I go and see you in the South Stand, although I'm in the West Stand. I go and visit you, see you guys and that. But what I saw today and what I've seen all season, and it happened last season as well, in a culmination of a lot of things that are wrong with the club. I keep reverting back to it. It's a piece of pizza. Everyone has a slice and has a fault and has a blame somewhere along the lines. I mean, I spoke to Adrian, Kev, Tom before the game started, and I said, I'm so gutted in the sense that I wasn't there on Wednesday night because I've only seen us win twice this season. I've not been to any of the European games because of where I have to travel from. I missed the parade today as well. I didn't get to the stadium till 1:30 because of all the delays and all the cancellations that I had coming into London from the South Coast. And got there today, and the support when I walked, because I walked in through the South Stand and walked around to the West Stand underneath the stadium, and the concourse was absolutely on fire on the South Stand today when I walked through, absolutely on fire. So people saying that the fans didn't play their part, they certainly did. They were singing in the crowd as well. So for me, and I said this to the groups that I play football with, I'm playing tomorrow night. I'm getting loads of stick from everyone because we lost again because they all support other clubs. And all I've just said to people is, I've kept my side of the bargain. I've gone to the games, supported the team, supported the managers, supported the players. I've kept to my side of the bargain. The club has not kept to theirs. And when I mean the club, I'm talking everybody at the club. And I'm also talking players as well. Because today, the players reverted back to the people that we've seen all this season and the players that I saw last season. I've also commented in groups, not in WhatsApp groups for Tottenham supporters, but in private WhatsApp groups that I've got. And I've said, I've not seen one player who's been at the club for 2 to 3 years improve as a player. Again, I've not seen anyone improve.
Archie Gray.
So, okay.
Yeah, okay. I just make that point because
I'm talking.
I love that man to bits.
Today, I mean, I know that Adrian. I've said it for 2 years now. I've said it for 3 years. Pap Sarr today again. Pap Sarr in the West Stand, sitting like you can see exactly what Pap Sarr was doing. Pap Sarr runs sideways on the pitch and passes to the fullback or passes to the centre back or even goes back to the goalkeeper. There is no progressive passing in Pap Sarr. He just runs, gets the ball, and he's just like, woo, doesn't know. And it's just over and over. It's rinse and repeat watching Pap Sarr play. Today, Tudor, I mean, we don't know what the levels are of the players. We don't know who's in the red zone, the green zones, and whatever, because we're not on the training pitch. But today, he's picked. I mean, you're going to have to tell me, guys, because I don't know, because I switched off all social media when I'm at the ground, right? In a sense, I don't listen to anything. I don't go into the groups or anything like that. Now, for me, I felt Van der Ven. I was like, I went to see Ellie at half time because she was in the West Stand, and I just said to her, God, that was surprised me that Van der Ven's playing left back. He's played there before for the club and countries, but he's put him in at left back. But he looks so disinterested to me. He looked really disinterested. I mean, the first 2 times that Hutchinson had a game, Hutchinson left him for dead. Mickey Van der Ven left for dead by Hutchinson. And then I thought to myself that Jed Spence is a one-trick pony, does the same thing all the time, gets himself into trouble, holds the ball, holds the player off, tries to bump him off with his back, and then tries the same turn all the time and gets caught. I just thought that some of the today, picking Van der Ven at left back, picking Spence and Porro, where was the creativity? I saw no creativity again. Okay, we created more chances today, I suppose, than what we did when I went to Chelsea, when I went to Bournemouth, when I went to Sunderland. We've created more chances today, but they weren't proper chances. They were half chances. No. In the first half, we huffed and we puffed and we couldn't blow the house down. And then they scored their goal. And in the second half, I didn't see nothing from the changes that were made. I saw nothing that elevated us to have a better performance in the second half. If anything, we regressed even more in the second half. To me, your captain, I see the captain coming out with the ball, and he comes out with the ball and he holds on to it because he tries to see players moving into positions. Players weren't moving into positions. He gets upset by it all. He starts spraying long balls, And at the end of the day, it's just a total mess. The forward line as well. Looking at the forward line, Tell huffed and puffed again. Richie again reverted back to type, or he's always been that type. He wants to play the player, not the ball. So he's always looking to see what a defender is, see if he can do the defender, And the big winner for me today, the match today wasn't Tottenham Hotspur versus Nottingham Forest. The match today was the referee show. The referee stole the show in that game today. It was all about the referee. The referee is as if it was his stadium, it was his match, and it was for him to do and decide what he wanted. There was some horrendous decisions being made today by the referee. And I'm not going to make excuses. We got well beaten, but the referee sure didn't help us at all. Sorry.
I don't think Michael Oliver had a good game, but I think when you look at and analyse the game, we didn't lose because of Michael Oliver. Peter, again, yes, we're in deep shit. Thank you very much for your donation. Always appreciated. There was there's quite a few things in the chat that I don't normally do too much in the chat, but I absolutely do want to comment, and that was this Pilch comment. Phil, I'll bring you in on this. Most fans wouldn't want many Forest players, but we don't have one that would get into their lineup on the evidence of the 2-3-0 defeat. That's your main problem there. I mean, I look at the players that we have, I look at the players we had, and then I looked at the bench and thought, bloody hell, that's a really strong bench. And yet, I mean, you can't argue with a word Jose said in terms of the levels of commitment. I mean, Van der Ven, there's been talk about a player, and he denies it's him, going around saying, well, I don't give a damn, I'm out of here. But, I mean, I thought he's been woeful for weeks. Too many players just, there's only two players got pass marks today. One was Matthias Tell, and the other one was Archie Gray. No one else remotely got pass marks, and therein lies our problem, Phil.
There's too many poor individual performances throughout the whole season. Probably going obviously back into last season as well, if we're being honest. We have to remember, I saw a stat again today as well that I think we haven't, turned the game from one that we've been behind in for 18 months now. And the amount of goals we conceded last season going into this season, there's just so many individual performances which are not on par. But then you have a team which is completely dysfunctional and just it's not effective. And, Nottingham Forest, even though they haven't been playing particularly well recently, and they weren't anything special today, they didn't need to be. This was one of their easiest games that they've played. In fact, both games that they've played against us have probably been their easiest games of the season. They scored 6 goals against us this season. That's 20% of the goals, a fifth of the goals that they've scored this season in the Premier League have come against Tottenham. And they didn't have to get out of second gear to do that. They weren't all over us. They didn't dominate possession. They've obviously got some very good players in some positions, Elliot Anderson, obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White, obviously. But then they've got other players who are just quite effective. Their striker, Murillo, right? They've got players that just get on and do the job, kind of. And for us, we've got some big names in there and players that have been successful, but they're way out of form. And when we keep changing the tactics as well and changing the positions, it doesn't help it either. But you've got, as you said, you've got Mickey van der Ven. I didn't have a massive, when it turned out he was playing left back, because it looked like he was going to play 3 at the back. When you saw the team sheet, I assumed he would be playing a back 5 or back 3, whatever, and put Spence again on the left and have Mickey kind of coming in at left centre back, right? And then it turned out it was going to be a back 4. I didn't really have a problem with Mickey playing left back. In fact, I've been calling for him to play at left back at some point in the season because he's been doing it for Netherlands, for the last 18 months successfully. But we've never tried it. And then suddenly we try it out of nowhere when we've still got Dogi on the bench. We've still got Souza, who I know he hasn't played much, but he's looked handy when he's, come on and he's played in different, either when he played left back or even when he played right wing in that game, and he had that shot. But he's changed it again. And, there's just something missing with this whole setup. The players, anyways, have obviously been poorly coached. They've gone through probably the trauma of last season, of losing so many games. Again, I know we won the UEFA Cup last season, but it doesn't. Just winning that trophy doesn't change how we played, right through the whole season. It doesn't change the structure of our defence. It doesn't change the fact that we've got Vicario in goal still, who also makes mistake after mistake, and also he doesn't really marshal his defence effectively enough. And it just that all of it comes together, and we have no consistency. We have halves of 45 minutes where we look all right, and then we go to completely, under par, like amateur levels. We've done that all season as well, right? Even under Thomas Frank as well, right? Light and shade from 1 minute to the next. As soon as the opposition score, we completely implode. We lose our heads. The energy levels go. And Forest played extra time in the week. Forest played extra time on Thursday. And we had a day of rest. And did that mean anything? The second half should have been the half when we actually were maybe showing a bit more fitness, especially with the increased fitness levels that we've maybe had recently. And look, I think at the end of the day, we are in big, big trouble. We knew that anyways, but there was hope for this game. There was hope that we're all aligned, all of the fan actions, the point and the win in admittedly games where there was probably not so much pressure on us. And as soon as we turn up and we actually have to make something happen, and we know that there's something riding on the game, despite the first half being okay, I think as Jose said, we just didn't create anything. No creativity in the team, no Xavi in the team. There's so much wrong, and we're in big, big trouble. And look, I just feel sorry for the fans again that went there today. I would have been there if I could have come over from Germany, but like with the parade, with the energy, everyone was buzzing, everyone was like positive, and then to do that, again, it's such a letdown. And the club deserves to go down. The club and the ownership deserves to go down, but the fans don't. And we just need to hope that something magically, changes, in the international break. Probably, I assume we'll talk about it, I guess, in more detail anyway. But
Yeah. Peter, thanks again. I put that up on the screen for everybody. Again, can't thank you enough. Depressing enough without people spending their money on us. I suppose it's better than giving it to Enoch and Co. But Adrian, let me bring you in. Comment that this is my daughter. We have our own little family WhatsApp group, and she before the game was pretty astonished that Simmons didn't start, and the comment there, not starting Simmons was a mistake. I must tell you, I was pretty surprised that Simmons didn't start, particularly after how good he was against Atleti. And you think, yeah, that's good for his confidence, and then you leave him out. From a football point of view, it made no sense. From a man management point of view, it was an abomination of a decision.
I fully agree with Natalie. We take the creative midfielder out. We've got no wingers, so we go into the game trying to use a battering ram effect. The problem was we had no creativity, as you all know, and you haven't got to be a clever hindsight critic to say that. And we've got no wingers at all. Tell worked well. He runs his socks off, but he's not an out-and-out winger. And I said prior to January, prior to Ali Gold, we need to bring in players in this January window because and bloat the squad and worry about getting rid of them in the summer if the injured players come back and hit their straps. You can't expect injured players to come back and hit the ground running. They're all expecting it. They're coming back. You get energy from them, but what you haven't got the speed of thought. That comes secondary, but it comes with game time. You get the speed of thought back for passing and things like that. And it's glaring obvious that we've got no wingers. So we've got no width. We had no width on the right-hand side today. We tried
nothing.
And on the left, give him his due. I'm really liking his attitude. He did well. Like you said, Gray did well. But as you said, no one else comes out as a VDV's just off point. He's played so many games the last season, the last 2 seasons anyway. I just think question whether he should have started. But we needed pace out wide. We needed pace out wide and wingers out wide, and we haven't got a winger until Kudus comes back after the international break. We haven't got an out-and-out winger on the right-hand side, and that's what we missed. And I said it in January. I mean, we all wanted Akluishin. I'd have brought him in straight away, no matter what, like simply because I thought you can do a job in various positions and you can play on the wings, right? And you're good and you're a creative as well. We haven't got that. We're playing battering ram long ball football, and it's very hit and miss. I mean, look, we got one more point than West Ham, so in theory, if we get more points than them in the last 7 games, our fate is still in our hands. But it's not.
But where
good.
do those
And I'm
points come
surprised.
from?
Well, I'm surprised, as you were, as Natalie was, that after winning against Atletico Madrid with Xavi in midfield and no wingers, that he didn't start. And that's not being clever after the fact. You know, the bench looked good on, but the thing is that it's imbalanced. You know, there's just, you can't rely on just a midfielder for creativity. You need it on the flanks. It wasn't there, Ian. It wasn't there.
All Tudor's done is go with the same tactics, the same formation, because we played well against Liverpool. That was the exact same sort of lineup we put against Liverpool, the exact same performance, just hoping for the second ball and everything like that. But it was against a different team. Liverpool come at us. Forest just sat back, and it wasn't going to get anywhere. We needed someone to open them up. So yeah, I agree.
But that's the point, Si, isn't it? When you're at home against us, in fact, they didn't play with as much of a low block as I expected them to. But regardless, when you're playing at home against a team that you would consider on paper to be inferior to you, you must have the creativity, to use your expression, to open them up.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Ian. Yeah, he should have been starting and we should have been at him. I honestly expected that the whistle to go for the start of the game, and I expected the players to be right up and like pressing 100%, going for it, and like really getting the crowd behind them. And I think if they played Simmons, it possibly would have happened, but it was totally different to what I expected to start of the game.
Do you know what? Just
Phil wants to come in, yeah.
Yeah, just quickly on that. I mean, the fact of not starting Simmons, right? When Nottingham Forest see that team sheet, what do they think? Like, not playing Simmons also makes a bit of a sign, right, to Forest in terms of what we do want to do or not want to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you put Simmons on that team sheet and you say he's going to play number 10, they know that we're going to come out there with Xavi, right? And we're going to try and get him on the ball and try and make things happen. But the fact that we didn't play even any creative number 10 player or proper winger, you know, who could even play in that number 10 role, it was clear that we weren't going to play a number 10. And that gives Forest, right, a sign from the beginning that maybe we're not going to just like swarm all over it, right, and get the ball to Xavi. You know, little things like that can make an impact in terms of the opposition and the players, and also maybe what the opposition manager is going to do to tweak his team at the beginning of the game. You know, as Sai said, if we'd played with Xavi, put him on the team sheet, got him in there, either in a 4-2-3-1 or, you know, in that 4-4-2 system, maybe from the left, but kind of playing centrally, whatever, then that would have made a statement, you know, that we're here to try and do something. Why do you put your best number 10 or your only number 10, who had such a good game against Atletico? Why do you keep him on the bench like that? You know, you start him in the game and you take him off. You can always take him off, right, if it's not working, or you can tweak it. You don't bring him off the bench. Why would you bring someone like Xavi Simmons off the bench? I don't get that.
He hasn't played him in the Premier League much recently whatsoever, has he?
Yeah. He hasn't. To be fair, he's only really had his really good games in Europe, right, where he's dominated because he's had more space. You know, Forest were pressing us actually a lot in that first half, but still, he's got to get game time, isn't he? You can't get into. He's got to play in that team.
And with 19
the only creative player we've got.
You could have played him because within 19 days before Sunderland, you've got plenty of time for the players to recuperate. Plus, I'll add something else as well. I mean, what's Al-Saisi done wrong? He had 100% pass completion. He could do a job in midfield and carry the ball and with the ball and all that. This is where we're so slow, to make changes. Like, even Al-Saisi would have done a better job in midfield today. Seriously, he would.
Sarr played, didn't he? Sarr played through. It was clear that Sarr wasn't, he was very good like recently, but today he was awful. Sarr, he was completely ineffective, but he didn't get hooked.
Yeah.
He played through, didn't he?
I mean, I made that comment, about Natalie said about Simmons, and her husband said, right, what changes at half time? And I said, and I probably put that on the diehards chat as well. Simmons for Sarr. I just thought it screamed out for it. We didn't need two holding players at that point, and particularly when we went a goal down just before half time. To me, I don't know. Maybe this is why we come on streams and talk about things that the professionals actually know what they're talking about, and we know jack shit. But the professionals have got us into this mess. Jose, I know you were eating there. Are you able to talk or ask someone else?
No, I'm able to talk.
Yeah, I mean, I've put Tudor gone ? He surely has to be out the door. I mean, I don't know whether you picked it up with your travelling, but he didn't. His assistant took the post-match press conference.
Yeah, he's had a bereavement in the family.
Well, so that's what they're saying. I mean, I'm a little bit cynical when it comes to PR things. It might well be true, and if it is true, then condolences to him and the whole family. But it might be one of those things where it's convenient, or the board wanted to talk to him and what have you, because it can't go on, can it? This cannot go on.
Right, but for me, right, who'd you bring in, and why would you bring someone else in? Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to come in on a short-term 7-game fix. Nobody wants to come in on that. People want to be given at least an 18-month contract, but they're not coming in to firefight for 7 games. So at the end of the day, who are you going to bring in? If you get rid of Tudor, nobody's going to come to the club to firefight for 7 games. And it's a decision that the club need to make. The club either stick to a plan and go for a manager in the summer. If they're worth half a bean about themselves, they would be talking to potential people now, sounding people out to try and get them in for the summer. But if you want to get rid of Tudor and you want someone to come in now, people are going to want to come in on a longer term contract. And that means that if you've got plans to bring in a new manager in the summer, you'll have to shelve them plans if you're going to go left wall and bring someone else in, because people are looking for a minimum of an 18-month contract. To me, Tudor made some weird decisions today, like I said. For me, it was weird that perhaps Sarr, how he started again, I'll never know. I don't rate perhaps Sarr, never have done, but how he started again in front of Xavi Simmons, I agree. I don't know. And this is not hindsight. When I looked at the team sheet, I thought, why ain't Xavi Simmons in there? Why Sarr in there again? We could have played, instead of playing Porro in the midfield, right? Porro didn't offer us nothing in the midfield, to be honest, when he's playing on the right side of midfield. If you wanted them there for crosses and to get past players, he did none of that. So basically, you could have brought in another midfielder and then picked either Porro or Spence to play in your right back position. The Mickey van der Ven, Mickey van der Ven plays at left back for his national side, and he's played there before. Today, like I said, I can't keep repeating this enough. He looked disinterested to me today, absolutely disinterested. So some of the selections he made to me were like kind of weird. The substitutions for me were kind of weird as well. I mean, I looked down when he brought on. He did the first 2 substitutions at half time. I then saw the subs. I was in the West Stand, so they were right in front of me, warming up. I saw the rest of the subs warming up, and I thought, okay, we can only make 3 substitutions. And on the sidelines, you still got Paulinho, you still had Moani, you still had Souza, you still had what's his name? Gallagher, and there was another. And I thought to myself, you can only make 3 more substitutions. What 3 is he going to pick? And then, at the end of the day, to keep and not bring on one of the midfielders, because we were flagging, we were getting eaten in midfield. And instead of, he should have brought another midfielder on a lot earlier for me. at the end of the day, the players that you've got, who we've got now. You said earlier, Ian, right? You said earlier that we wouldn't pick any Forest players.
Well, I know I quoted someone put in there.
Okay.
I'm not sure I agreed with that.
No, 2 years ago, Ian,
Yeah.
I turned around and said, right, that Forest people. I said that people like Forest, Brentford, and Bournemouth have got better squads than us, and I was belittled for it. And they said, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, when I talked about Forest, I said at the time they had Chris Wood, Anthony Alanga, and they had Hudson-Odoi as their front three, and they were scoring goals for fun.
Yep.
They had Gibbs White in the midfield, and they had Dominguez playing there. I think he must have been out injured this year, but Dominguez was playing there. The back four is the same back four they had playing last season. For me, their fullbacks do proper jobs. Nico Williams is better than any of our fullbacks. So is Ola Aina. And their two centre halves play as a proper partnership. Murillo and Milenkovic play better than our centre halves. So you look at Forest, and I think to myself, and I said this last season about Forest, and then I talked about Brentford having a better squad, and then I looked at Brentford's forward line, and I saw Visser, Tony, and Mbeumo scoring goals for fun, playing around as if they was in a school playground, playing street football, and just scoring goals for fun. Who were our three up front that were scoring goals? We had nothing. And then you look at, I look at Bournemouth as well. Bournemouth have lost Hussein, Zabani, they've lost Semenyo, and the list goes on. And I was talking about them last season having a really good squad compared to us. Our squad is so lopsided. It doesn't matter who we pick. It doesn't matter who you've got as manager. If you've got the players that we've got and the way the players are that we have and their mentality that they've got, it doesn't matter who manages them. We need a fucking clear out. It's what we need. We need a clear out. But you can't clear everyone out in one season. It's going to take time. But you've got to start eating into some of this squad now.
But we can't have a clear out, Jose. We can't have a clear out between now and the 1st of June or whenever the transfer window opens.
I know. And at the end of the day, we've got to hope that everyone on the panel, everyone watching us, we've got to hope that these people put in some performances in the last 7 games to keep us up. Because it's not for the want of trying from the fans. So they've got to do it.
So let me bring you in. I mean, whatever we do, and the point that's being made, first of all, well, you've got to have someone to bring in, and who would want it if they're only going to get, 7 games? People are going to want 18 months or whatever. I mean, the suggestion there, I mean, my son-in-law's just WhatsApp me saying bring in Sean Dyche, Harry Mason Defoe. I've heard Hoddle mentioned. Somebody or people that are steeped in the traditions of the club. I mean, does that matter now? I mean, who is going to get a tune out of these players? I mean, I keep going back. The Conte's words are coming back to haunt us all about you keep changing the manager and nothing changes.
I think now, because we're looking at literally 7 games, aren't we? It's got to the point now where, and we have like a 3-week gap now. And then we've got 7 games in basically May and June, whatever, right? Literally. And we need to win, I don't know, let's say we need to win 3 of those or something like that, right? And pick up some points. The problem we have now is, probably no manager or no one who comes in is going to magically change the players enough in that period to see massive changes. I would say that, generalizing a bit, but probably at least half of the squad have given up, like literally, and they can say what they want. They can post what they want on social media. Like everyone was sharing that, the 1-page thing, right? Everyone together. Can't remember what the phrase was again, but the one with all the
Always
things saying,
together.
That's the one. Everyone was posting that out. Half of those players don't care. Again, they're already thinking about their next moves in the summer. Some of them do care, like for sure. But the problem is, there's negativity in the background, and what happens in companies, and in organizations, right? When the management's not good, or when the strategy and the board and everything else above is not good, people start gossiping, people start moaning, and negativity spreads through. And look, the problem is that whoever comes in now is going to have a very difficult job to try and get anything out of this bunch of players, because we are the worst team in the league form-wise. We have nothing. That performance against Liverpool, admittedly in a game that we probably all expected to lose and they all saw as a free hit, was unexpected. And then the Atletico one, also in a game that was pretty much a dead rubber, really, was a bit unexpected without pressure. And, obviously the optimism and the hope was raised. And the problem that we have now is that no manager, as Jose said, will want to come in and take on that assignment. No, I say no proper manager, like no established manager, right? Probably in the UK, has been a manager in the Premier League or in the Championship, or someone who's either in no one's going to leave a job, right, to come to Spurs just for that period. Because we all know that it's either going to be Poch or whoever else from the summer. So no manager's going to give up a job for it. So it's got to be someone who's, either unemployed at the moment or who's a coach or something else, right? And no established manager is going to take that job on for what benefit? Like the risk of them taking it on and going into a very stressful situation, being under the microscope, the magnifying glass every week for the rest of the season. You're not going to want it just because it's Spurs, because you're not going to stay at Spurs, right? And there is the danger that you're going to be the one that took Spurs down, even though it wasn't your fault, because obviously the problems have stemmed from, the stuff in the background, either the managers over the last couple of years and obviously Enoch and the board. So as whoever it was there, the Ginger Pele, I think it was.
Ginger Pele, yeah.
Yeah. He was a good defender, by the way. Back in, what was his name? Gary Doherty.
Yeah. Well, I
or
mean,
a striker, whatever it was. But his comment in terms of like his comment in terms of, I think probably he's right. Like, I think the only options that we have at the moment in terms of bringing someone in who's interested in the role and generally is going to put the time and the effort and the energy, and is going to be someone who has been at the club before and who understands the club. And there's obviously probably not that many options either, really. But I think he mentioned Defoe, Harry, Mason, Sherwood probably will be mentioned by some people, but he wouldn't be my choice because I just don't like the guy. But you know what? Like Harry Redknapp's 80, 81. I would have always said he's unrealistic. He's been away from football for 10 years. The game has changed. He's over 80. I mean, this kind of thing doesn't normally happen. Hoddle is still there somewhere, right? Like, I think you could build some kind of coaching team or management team out of some of that, right? Maybe it is Ryan Mason if Poch was coming back, bearing in mind that Poch and Mason got really well. Maybe Mason can stay with the club. Mason and Hoddle. I don't know. I can't answer that question. But I would say that would probably be the answer, because I can't see who else would come in. And even Sean Dyche has rejected, hasn't he? Sean Dyche rejected the role apparently last week, anyways, and said he wants a long-term opportunity. So who else are you going to get? Who else are you going to
get? Adrian, sometimes the dice doesn't always roll for you. And I've just forgotten it. Matty Wells is setting the heather on fire in America, and you wonder if he'd have been the number 2 when we wanted rid of Frank. He could have come in and actually he'd have been the one that might have turned this round.
Yeah, or Ryan Mason. They're the only types you're going to get in if you were going to make a change. But I'm not for making a change, but it's only my opinion, simply because players' confidence is fragile. They have shown fight against Madrid and Liverpool. There is fight in them until the game goes too much against them. Then heads drop a bit. But so I'm not for changing with 7 games to go, because then now you've got the players whose fragile confidence already could be made even more fragile by another change in another system. I just think that the coaching staff we've got now didn't learn from the Liverpool game and the Atletico Madrid game, which are both different types of football, because one you're away from home, one you're at home. At Liverpool, we adapted to the situation and got the point. against home at Madrid, we adopted an attack-minded philosophy and went for it, which we should do in every game when you're at home. That's Spurs DNA, right? And as Natalie said, I mean, like leaving Simmons out was a bad mistake when you got no wingers. I mean, at least then he's going to win your free kicks at worst ways, right? He's going to take pressure off the midfield when he's on the ball because he causes other teams problems. So then look at the tune you got out of Graham Sarr when Simmons played against Atletico Madrid. People say it was a dead rubber. Spurs played well in that game. No two ways about it. They played well in that game. And to the last minute as well. Because even Tudor queried, when it was 3-2, we were going again and we could have conceded it again. It could have been 3-3, but it wouldn't matter. But the players went for it, But this is again, I mean, like next game, Sunderland away. Then you might argue the case that Simmons doesn't start because it's an away game, right? But Simmons should have started today. This is fear football, fear. And all we were left with was a battering ram approach, apart from Tell give us a bit of an outlet, and come out with credit, as did Gray again. But I mean, we I mean, it's in our hands. It's in our hands. We've got 7 games. We're a point above West Ham. It's in our hands. We see how it goes, but I'm not for changing. I'm not for changing the coaching staff. I think it actually exacerbates the problems. But we'll see. We'll see what you alluded to with Tudor, whether if they're going to make a change, this is the time to do it because we've got 19 days before we play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the time to do it. So if you don't hear in the next few days or whatever, we'll see. But an ownership need to take a big. Well, I want them gone. I've wanted them gone for yonks, but but everyone was on the leave it out train. But I always knew that the root of our problems would be the ownership.
Si, are you keeping Tudor now? We've literally chained our fortunes to his mast, or is there is there somebody or a team out there that can actually save us?
It's a tough one, Ian. I mean, part of me, I think when we brought Tudor in, we expected him to be one of these, to go into the dressing room, yelling, really confronting the players, getting them up. And it doesn't seem to have worked. Maybe we go for the approach of a few, people that know the club, like Harry, Defoe, etc., who love the club, and try and push it through to the players that way. But I agree with most of the lads. I just don't think Tudor or the other ones, they just look, some of them look disinterested. The others look like they're scared. They're walking out on the pitch sometimes beaten before the game's even started.
Let me put something to you, because I'll then go round, particularly Jose and Adrian, who were there. But it's one thing that I've noticed when I've been at games, and I think you can see it on the TV as well. But when we concede, you can almost feel the confidence draining from the players. You can see it evaporating into the N17 air.
Yeah, totally agree, Ian. Yeah, as soon as we concede, you can see the players' shoulders drop, their heads drop, and they're basically just thinking, here we go again. We needed to score that first goal today. I think it would have been totally different. Yeah, we were knocking on the door, but as Jose said, there was no clear-cut chances. We might have hit the bar twice. But compared to like against Madrid and against Liverpool, we had some real good chances. But today we didn't. But yeah, as soon as we concede, I think the writing's on the wall every game at the moment because of the confidence of the players. That's why in my eyes. I don't know what Adrian and that think about it, whether they think the same.
I'll bring Jose in, then Phil, then Adrian. We'll go through this. Jose, what are your own thoughts? You've been at pretty well every game this season, I think, pretty well.
I think, right, that the dressing room's in disarray. I think there's players that go out to the pitch and they're not united. They're not as one. I think that there's players. There's destabilisation going on in the background. There's no smoke without fire. Some of these conversations are some of the attitudes that people have got, whether it be in training or whether it be away from the cameras, has rubbed off on some. You've got some people that do want to fight for the badge, and you've got others that don't. And some of the ones that don't want to fight for the badge, we've been forced to play because of the injuries we've had. And I just think it's just caused distrust and disharmony in the background. On the pitch today, and you lot were at the game with some of you at the game, right? Did you see the tackle Sangari made on Gray and Gray went down? Who went to see if Gray was all right? Did the captain go and see him? No.
Nobody.
It was Dominic Solanke who went to see him. When Tell went down from a challenge and ultimately went off, who went? Did Romero go anywhere near him, or did any of the established players go anywhere near Tell when he was down? The only player that went near him was Solanke again. Solanke, for me, say what you want about him, but Solanke went to make sure that these players are all right. Our captain weren't even doing that. To me, it just shows Van der Ven didn't go to see whether he was all right. Some of these players that we're saying are our stars, or our leadership group, and that didn't even care. And the youngsters that were getting injured, and that I noticed straight away that it was Solanke that went up to both at the same time. I just think there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on at the club, and like I said,
before I move that part of the discussion on, then let me ask you a different question, Jose, and that is there was a comment there earlier, and it'll be way up the chat. I won't go back and find it, but that Romero and Van der Ven have checked out. We should be starting now with Danso and Dragusin because at least they're going to give you 100%. They might be inferior players, but an inferior player giving you 100% is better than a superior player giving you 50%.
Romero I said this earlier, I saw Romero about 3 times carry the ball out from defence and just stop on the ball, looking to see who was going to make a movement and who he could pass the ball to. And I think he was getting frustrated because people weren't making the movements. Now, people are not making the movements. It's one, either they're knackered, or two, they ain't got a brain and not good enough to make the movement. But I saw him stall 3 times where he was trying to find, and there was no movements at all. For me, the person that was disinterested today was Mickey van der Ven. Playing at left back, I said straight away, it was, wow, he's playing left back. And then the first 2 duels with Hutchinson left him for dead, and the rest is history for that first half, and he got taken off. He was absolutely not at the races for me today. Not at the races at all. Sarr weren't at the races. When you got so many players not at the races, you're going to struggle. But like I said, I think it's deeper rooted. I think you've got the splits already between the group of players in the back that we don't get to see on the pitch, and I think the splits are there. And I'm reading in between from what I can see from body language, and for me, the splits divide already, and it doesn't matter. I keep saying, if you bring Glenn Hoddle, if you bring Harry Redknapp, if you bring all these Tottenham players in, or these ex-Tottenham employees or players from yesteryear, and they say this is what it is to play for our club and have pep talks and all that, it's going to fall on the same deaf ears that it's been falling on with other managers because of the group of players we've got. It is absolutely, for me, it's toxic. The players are toxic. They are as well. They're part of this problem. It's not just higher ups. The players are part of this problem as well.
I mean, Phil, we go back to when Conte was the manager and he made that rant after the defeat at Southampton, I think it was. But there's been a fairly big turnover of players since then. It's not as if the squad we had then and the squad we've got now are the same players. So, I mean, chicken before the egg here, or the cart before the horse. Which way round is it? Are we attracting players that have a weak mentality? Are they the kind of players that this club is attracted to, or are attracted to this club? or is there something deeper within the culture of the club that players become weak mentally when they walk through the doors at Tottenham Hotspur?
I think it's
Brute of a question, that, but
yeah, it's a good question. I think it is actually a mixture of both. And I think it's probably unfair to say that we just buy the wrong, mentality kind of player, right? Because like even when we bought players under Range, since then we were quite clear about the kind of players we would get in. I think every club, has a certain kind of way of trying to understand, what motivates players, all that kind of stuff, right? Again, a bit similar to if you're a company, and you're trying to bring the right people with the right mindset in.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of both, but I do think that there is a big cultural problem at the club, and the amount of players that we sign who, once they've spent 6 months, a year, 18 months at Spurs, who either massively fall off or just don't hit their perceived potential, is stunning. It's like stunningly high, how many or how high that amount of players is. And of course, we know that ENIC and, our sporting directors over the years, when we have spent money, we know that we probably haven't spent it well in a lot of cases. So yeah, we haven't brought the right players in. But as you've said, like when Conte did that rant, we have a vastly different squad now. We have a vastly different squad. We got rid of Lloris. We've got Vicario now for 2 years. Our defence is basically, they've all joined us, right, within the last let's say 3 years, really. The midfield, Gray and Sarr, Xavi, Tell, Solanke, they're all new players, right? They're all new players, and I think that there's a big problem in the squad, or sorry, in the club, in terms of either that winning mentality, trying to build a winning culture, that message coming from the top constantly in everything that you do. The message is confused, it's diluted. Who is calling the shots in the club? What are the conversations like with the sporting director? Is Vinay getting involved? Levy was involved, now he isn't. He's obviously gone completely. So that kind of adds to it as well. But so again, like whoever comes into the club in the summer, because let's say nothing's going to change about changing the culture of the club, right, until the end of the season. But let's assume that, we hire a new sporting director, maybe we hire a new CEO. If the owners stay, if they don't sell, if they stay, then we need to hire the right people into those positions that get enough autonomy to be able to change the culture. But I don't think that's possible with ENIC. I think the only way that we can really change the culture in this club is to get new owners, because unfortunately, that those 25 years of structures of history, right? Bad history as well. Bad smells, right? Just little things, like how do you say, skeletons in the closet, like conversations, things that have happened. Unless you change the full ownership of the club, I don't think you can change us in the short term and maybe even middle term. The only thing we could do, as I said, is to hire the right. I don't think Vinay is the answer, right? And I'm sure a lot of other people don't either. The only thing we could do would be to hire another CEO, like a Paul Barber kind of person, right?
well,
As an example, he's probably not going to join us, but someone like that. And we need to hire that proper sporting director. We need to get more Spurs DNA in. Whether it's Hoddles and those advisory positions or the sporting director. That's the only way you can start to rebuild that winning culture in the team. That's I think, you don't have that.
Adrian will know, because this has been an absolute bugbear of mine, from the point of view of the culture, that you build a culture in a business. Let's forget about football. It comes from the boardroom down, and there hasn't been a winning culture a winning mentality, and that's why I put King Hodd's statement up, because that I agree with. That winning culture has to come from the top and come down. When Liverpool put a sign as you walk up from the dressing rooms to the pitch, "This is Anfield," it's 3 words, but it exemplified what that club was and wanted to be. And Ange, in an interview a few weeks ago, said everywhere you look around the training ground, it says, well, it should still say the Latin, "Audere est facere," but it doesn't. It says "to dare is to do." It's the English translation. But he says everything they do is the antithesis of that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everything they do as a club is the antithesis of "to dare is to
Identity's
do."
gone. Our identity's gone.
Yeah.
We have no identity. We have no identity. That's the problem.
Because we haven't brought managers in with Spurs DNA. Like a past.
But Adrian, it's nothing to do with managers with Spurs
It is,
DNA.
it is.
Sorry.
I'll tell you for why during this game. It's because managers with past DNA that were innovative, right? They're proactive, not reactive. In today's game, right? For example, I could see a few fixes. We've used the 4-4-2 because it was successful recently. It wasn't working. The battering ram wasn't working, so you change it. What have we seen from players? We've seen that Richarlison can play well on the left or right wing, right? He's aggressive. He's not a winger. He can do that. So Tell could play on the other wing, or they could, whatever wings they're on, and Xavi could come into the middle. That would have changed us today, straight away, because Richarlison caused problems. But our coaching team, it's all fear in football now. It's all fear.
Adrian, I think you're so missing the point, my friend. And let me explain to you why. You go back to the Amazon documentary, and there was that exchange between, was it Danny Rose? Was it Danny Rose and Jose Mourinho?
Yeah, in his office, that's correct, yeah.
When he's in Mourinho's office, he doesn't like what Mourinho says. He says, "I'll go and see Daniel."
Daniel, that's correct. He did say
That tells me everything that's wrong about a business. Because I tell you what, if I was the CEO, and I've had my own company, if I was the CEO, I'd be going, "Don't come whinging to me. If you can't sort it out with your manager, there's one person leaving, and it's not the manager. So get it sorted." Instead of a culture where you can go, you think you don't like what the manager says, you can go whinging to the chairman, and the chairman might do something. I'm sorry, that to me exemplifies where everything I'm seeing now tells me there's been a lack of leadership, a lack of
managers in.
A lack of direction.
That's how it used to happen back in the day, wasn't it? The player would be gone, not the manager. But the amount of money the players earn now, they're the ones that are in charge, basically.
Yeah. I was on record as saying that with Conte and Mourinho, world-class managers, they've won things. Yes, it would end badly. Egocentric managers who think they're bigger than the football club, right? It was always going to end badly, right, with those managers. All right, didn't know nothing about Spirito Santo. But and even Frank. I didn't really know too much about Frank. I knew Brentford had done okay. But those 4 were wrong managers to bring into this football club. They weren't the right fit, even if the players weren't here. A good manager will get a tune out of a bad squad. A Venables would, because of an innovative coach. Ange
Postecoglou had Spurs DNA written all over him. He won a trophy, and we still sacked him.
Yeah.
Do you remember just a quick anecdote on the culture and on Levy? Do you remember the story before the Champions League final, when he handed out Rolexes to the players before the final? Rolexes saying on the back, wasn't it? Was it Champions League final or something? Finalist. That was it. Champions League finalist. That also tells you everything you need to know about from the top. What was being said, what was being led. Do you know what I mean? You get a watch as a present for winning the thing, not for taking part. But the other. Can I just say one other thing? That this is a problem, that's been going on through the whole ENIC era. and even since Poch. And at the end of the day, I think we've realised over the last 2-3 years that when you lose a Harry Kane, and then when you lose a Son, you know, who basically, let's be honest, they carried us for X amount of years. You know, Kane alone carried us really, right? For so many games when we didn't play well, we weren't playing amazing football, right? Not in every single game, but he would just pop up, wouldn't he, with something from nowhere. Sonny the same, right? And they papered over the cracks, I think, if you look back even longer. You know, and we got lucky with signings and stuff. So look, it all comes from ENIC, unfortunately, and there's no quick solution for this. But you know, if I come back to the manager question now, or in terms of the rest of the season, personally, I think that there's no point holding on to Tudor because I don't think he's shown enough. Apart, he's got 1 point in what, 6 or 7 games. Too many weird tactical decisions. And look, I think that right now the players are difficult to remotivate or to bring up from somewhere. But, you know, you still hope to get a bit of a new manager bounce theoretically at some point, right? And I think you've got nothing to lose by trying something else now. Because the problem is we're getting now with 7 games to go. You know, some of those home games, and we play so badly at home anyway, we need to win them. And do you know what I mean? Like maybe if you got someone, like, I mean, Mason as an example, you know, he understands the club. He understands how to coach and how to set up. If he got the right support in the background, would he do any worse than Igor Tudor in terms of being able to get the players motivated before the games, or at least try to tactically put, how do you say, round pegs in round holes? You know, I don't think he would do any worse, if I'm being honest. Also, Tudor, just quickly, we might obviously sadly receive the news that of a family bereavement. We don't know who it is. You know, obviously our condolences, but that may it may clearly impact what's going to happen with Tudor, right? I mean, is he going to want to come back now after the international break? Is he realistically want to come back from his family? We don't know yet, but maybe that is a
Conte
maybe
went
it's a
through a
driver.
similar situation, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and you know, it obviously affected him massively. And probably looking back, I mean, it really was one of the kind of drivers for him. You know, getting, how do you say? I say losing control of the situation, but he kind of checked out, didn't he? As well. Let's be honest. You know, it became very difficult for him, I think.
There are 269 of you. It's been steadily rising. 276 now. So it's been steadily rising. No doubt there's a good few of you come on because Jose from Eltel Cocorel is with us as well. But can you please, if you can get onto YouTube, hit a like, particularly if you're on YouTube at the moment. My daughter's Spurs. I've got to go to bed, but Spurs are shit, she says. Thanks, Natty. I'm trying to host a broadcast here. But please get onto YouTube, give a like to this show, Spurs Diehards TTID, and a sub if you will. That's even better.
Yeah, hit the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. We can't see it, but you can. If you hit the subscribe button, it'll take you to our channel. Give the videos a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel because it helps the algorithm.
And as well, Eltel Cocorel, Jose's one of the absolute stars of Spurs YouTube. Always got something interesting and worthwhile to hear. So if you're here for us for diehards, please get onto Eltel Cocorel and like and subscribe to his channel. Okay, right. Where do we want to take it from here? Let's talk about the next fixtures. We don't have a fixture for nearly 3 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, 19 days.
I mean, I don't know if that's good or that's bad. There was a comment in the chat that I didn't see. I was watching Celtic get bullied off the park by, oh, did I put that onto a blooming timer? Oh, you've got it on a timer, Adrian. That's your slide. Hang on a sec. Get that off a timer. I can't. I might not be able to move that. But one of the comments in the chat there was, I watched Sunderland. I told you I had a sore throat. I watched Sunderland bully Newcastle today, and they've not been on form. But by the look of that, look like they got. They've come back into some form. That will be difficult. Brighton never easy. Wolves, I mean, just the way that we're playing, I'm not sure where the points come from. I mean, maybe something will happen. Maybe there'll be a new coach. Maybe the players will decide, no, we don't want relegation on our CVs, and come out and beat teams. But I'm really scared, Si, about where the points are coming from, because we got one in the last 21, and you'd have thought that, as I said a bit earlier, today, Palace, Fulham, you know, we might have got 6 or 7 points from those games, and well, we got one.
Yeah, looking at them, I feel the same. You're wondering where the points have come from. I mean, on paper, you'd expect us to beat Wolves even away, but that, you know, they're still like grinding out results, even though I think, you know, they are gone. But for me, it's the last couple of games, and for everybody, because once positions are sorted and the teams that have got nothing to play for, you get some really bizarre results. The last 3 week game, the last 3 games of the Premier League. So, you know, I mean, I'd like to think if Leeds was safe, we'd beat them at home then, maybe. And if Chelsea, it's tough. Everton at home, they wouldn't have anything to play for, perhaps. So we could get points there. It's all ifs and buts, really, isn't it?
I actually think Leeds are going to get sucked into this. I mean, I think there could be 4 teams: West Ham, Forest, Tottenham, and Leeds in a battle for one. I just think Leeds are not scoring any goals. They're a bit like us. They don't look like they've got that much confidence. Although I remember when we beat them away, I had Jess on the show and said, you know, look, I don't think there's any danger of you guys going down, but I think there is a big danger they'll go down.
I do think, Ian, with these teams for that last relegation spot, it won't be a case of who wins the most games or survive. I think it's basically going to be the team that loses the least amount of games. You know, the team that loses the most games is going to go down. A couple of points here and there could survive us, because I can't see any of these teams stringing a 3-match winning streak or anything like that together. Not even us, to be honest.
Yeah. Jose, it's starting to look like you're going to need 40 points. I mean, people always talk about 40 being the magical number, and the only team to ever go down in the last 25 years or whatever with more than 40 points was West Ham. But when you look at, you know, 30 points for us, is it 30 for us, 30 for West Ham, 32 or whatever for
29,
Forest?
29 West Ham.
29 for West Ham, yeah.
We're 30, Forest are 32, and I think Leeds are 33.
33.
And then 39 above Leeds is 39, whoever's above Leeds, I think.
Yeah, they're out of it. I genuinely think they're out of it unless something calamitous happens. But the other thing is, I was looking at our goal difference that was so superior to everybody else's. I'm thinking, if we win today, that puts us 4 points clear of Forest. But to all intents and purposes, it's 5 because our goal difference was so superior. Now there's only 2 in it because they took 3. So it's only a 6-pointer. It was a 6-goal swing in goal difference. So goal difference might count as well. And I think you're going to need 40 points, and I'm not sure where we get 10 points from. I really don't.
To me, at the end of the day, I keep saying this, Football was never played on paper. You can put the fixtures up as much as you want. You can put West Ham's fixtures up. You can put Forest's fixtures up. You can put Leeds' fixtures up. You can start doing the comparisons and the comparables. It's not about that. It's not about what's on paper. It's about what you do and you go out and do on the pitch. And at the end of the day, any win, it's got to come from players. Players got to want to be up for the fight. If they're up for the fight and you can nick a point here, nick a point there, it all adds up. But the players have got to do it. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. You could be playing against the top 6. You could be playing against the bottom 6. It really doesn't matter. It depends. It's what you do and how you apply yourselves. And even winning ugly counts. Just go and put shifts in and eke out points. You know, at the end of the day, you look at the games that we've got left, and I look at it and I think to myself, right, 7th place at the moment, right? 7th place. So the top 7 get Europe. 7th place have got 46 points, right? And that's Brentford. Everton are in 8th on 46. Brighton and Hove Albion are in 10th on 43. Now we've got to play Everton and Brighton, right? So they've got Europe to play for. They want to get into Europe. So you're playing 2 teams that want to get into Europe. We've got Aston Villa, who at the moment got a 5-point lead on Liverpool and a 6-point lead on Chelsea in 4th for Champions League. So Villa are fighting for something. Wolves at the moment, they're a form team. Wolves have been battling for every single point, and they've had an upturn games. So Wolves away ain't going to be an easy game either. If people show more fight and more desire than you, they'll win games. That's what we need to start adopting. Fight, desire, application. Like I said, win ugly. Get your points ugly. That's what we need to do. So forget about what we've got on paper. Leeds at home, right. I would have had Leeds at home as a victory. But watching Leeds play, Leeds fight. Leeds run all day. Leeds attack as a team, they defend as a team. They either go up and win or they lose fighting. Chelsea, we've never got anything at Chelsea away. Chelsea away has just always been a write-off for us. Things have got to change. We've got to apply ourselves at Stamford Bridge. And as I said, Everton are fighting to get a European spot. At the end of the day,
Jose, sorry to interrupt. What you'd like to think with that Everton game is positions are sort of already be defined by then. So hopefully, whether they're in Europe or not, are already be sorted. It'll be a dead rubber game. Hopefully for them potentially.
but between Brighton, I mean, even Sunderland, and then below Sunderland, you've got Newcastle and Bournemouth. They're on 42 points. The team in 7th are currently on 46. There's a dogfight for the people that want to get into Europe, and there's a dogfight for those that want to stay up. And the team that will stay up are the team that show application, show fight, and will grind. Because this is a grind. This is not about playing attractive, pretty football in a shiny stadium. This is about grinding. And the team that grinds the best are the team that stays up. And the Premiership doesn't lie. Where you end up after 38 games is because that's where you deserve to be at the end of the season. I'm just hoping, as we all are on the panel and as we all are in the chat, I'm just hoping that we can find the fight and we can find the grind.
Phil, my worry, just that comment there, West Ham next game, Wolves at home, is if we drop into the bottom 3, we don't have players with a character to get out. And if we get into the bottom 3, that will be us there. We may
not leave the bottom 3.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the worry that I have as well. And I think, for what it's worth, West Ham will win against Wolves at home.
Really?
And I think so. Yeah, I think they'll beat Wolves at home.
The only thing I'll put to that, Phil, though, sorry to interrupt, is the fact that Wolves are on 20 points. If they beat West Ham on 23, I think they'll believe they've got a very outside chance of staying up. They're going to fight like tigers.
They will do, but West Ham are much better at home than we are, generally speaking, and they know they've got to fight as well. I've just got a feeling that West Ham will win that somehow, and we will then be in the bottom.
Yeah, they should
automatically. If we don't beat Sunderland, even if we get a point, actually, we may not get out of the bottom 3. But look, I mean, as has been said here before, pretty much every team is fighting for something. Like Everton, probably the European. I think the European places will go down to the last game of the season. realistically, especially like Europa League, Conference League. That's going to come down to the last game of the season because there's going to be 2-3 points in it. And Everton, I mean, they're on form at the moment, aren't they? They thrashed Chelsea, like they're playing good football. Moyes has got them set up very effectively. That's going to be an awful last game of the season. And then Chelsea away. Chelsea are fighting for Champions League or probably for any European football. Rosenior's probably fighting for his job a bit as well, I mean, and we never get anything there anyway. So we really need somebody like Sunderland away. We're probably not going to get anything, but maybe we can get a point there. But it's these home games. Like at some point we need to sort. At some point we need to sort this run of.
But
Like every single team that comes to our stadium raises their game. They come into this shiny stadium.
Yeah, I'm not going to assume that we won't get anything at Sunderland. I think it's hard, but the game, I've said twice now, I thought we would beat Palace, I thought we would beat Forest, and I thought we might get something at Fulham, and I expected us to get beaten by Liverpool, and none of those things happened. So I don't think you can predict. I think it's up to the players to go out and try and do the business and try and get a result against the odds. And
can I just say one other thing though, because
Yeah.
we mentioned, like Jose said as well, like it's about which team grafts the most and gets together and fights obviously, and that's all true, and that will be the case. But my biggest issue is that we just continually giving away Christmas presents to
yeah,
or Easter presents to these Easter eggs to these other teams. The goals that we concede, it's just shocking game after game. Like if we keep doing that, if we can't somehow stop that, then I think we may just go down anyways, because we're shipping to, like, teams don't need to have to play well to beat us. That's the problem, because we're giving like that second goal today. Like that is amateur. With too many, like I was very critical of Vicario for the first goal. I've seen a few replays. Okay, maybe I was a bit harsh on him in some of the chats, but still, like that goal should not be conceded. Like
no, it's too easy. Van der Ven,
It's too
and I wonder
easy.
if that's why he got hooked, because he
Maybe.
just didn't do anything. Vicario was weak for the second goal, and the third goal was just
I
one
thought
cherry on the
Gensler was
icing on
weak
the
for the
cake.
second goal, personally.
Sorry?
They had so much room in the penalty area. You had Danso was there, and he was on his arse. He went down on his arse for that one. I think, and Sa. I thought Danso was poorly positioned for two of the goals.
But then again, we're also changing the back four or the back five quite often as well. Dragusin came in, and I thought Dragusin did quite well last week actually. In the in one of, it wasn't. I think he got unfairly criticised, to be honest, on some stuff. But we keep changing it, right? Sometimes it's Spence on the right, or Dragusin's coming out there on the right. Porro's out there. Then it's obviously Spence or Mickey's going out there. Then it's Danzo in the middle or in the right, and then you've got Vicario behind that, who is not exactly exuding confidence either in his, in his own positioning. But Vicario is also the guy who's probably got to try and get his wall sorted, and it's a mess. And like whoever it is, if it's Tudor staying on or if it's someone else, they need to get that defense sorted. It's one thing like playing good football and being able to score goals. We were very toothless today, but if we keep conceding goals like that, then we're not going to achieve what we need to achieve.
Phil,
That's
my worry is that when we brought Tudor in, that was exactly what I was told he would do. He tightens up, he gets teams organised, they get an immediate bounce, 7 games, 9-game improvement, and that was all we'd have needed. In fact, if anything, things have got steadily worse.
I think they have got a bit worse in terms of like positioning of some of the defenders at the back line. or at least it's as bad as it was. I mean, Frank hardly. We thought Frank sorted the defense out a bit, didn't we, at the beginning of the season? You know, which we did. We got a bit better, didn't we, when we were playing a bit even more defensively, and then he just started unraveling from there, didn't it? But like he needs to. Whoever comes in, I think they need to pick a settled back four or settled back five, ideally with first choice players, and let's see what happens with Vicario's injury.
Okay.
Is it going to take 4 weeks, or is Kinski? You know, like they need to sort it out. If we keep giving away goals just like that, here we go. We'll either give the ball away and then you can score, or we're not going to mark someone and you can score. It's going to be difficult to stay up, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult too, but we've got to try and remain positive, and it is difficult. I mean, guys, as ever, it's been, I think, a really good discussion, a lot of intelligent comments. Jose, can you get that onto the? Can I copy that? Copy link. See if I can make a. I'm the most technically illiterate person going. But
I've just because I can't put mine on yours, but I can put yours on mine, which I've done.
That like that.
No, in the chat. Copy and paste it and put it into the chat. I've put yours into my
into the
chat.
chat. I've copied and pasted it onto this. Yeah, I can get it into the chat as well.
Yeah, and I've done yours as well.
I've taken it off the chat. You've got it on. Oh, you've got no. You're. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
I put it in the private chat for you.
That should be.
Yeah, that's it. And I've done exactly the same on. Yeah, and I've done exactly the same on mine as well.
It's there. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm the most technically illiterate person there is out there. So, but we're just coming up to an hour and a half. I mean, I think that's enough. Before I don't want any lemmings jumping off of buildings on my conscience. So maybe some last comments. Si, and particular thanks to everybody for coming on, but thanks to you two of Jose into East Sussex, isn't it? You are East Sussex, and you back up to Brum, and coming straight home. The difficult journeys with public transport difficulties, and coming straight on the show. I really do appreciate that. So maybe some last thoughts from you, Si.
Yeah, I mean, on a positive note, we've got 3 weeks without Tottenham ruining any day for us, haven't we? So that's the only positive I can think. I pray. I mean, I hope we survive, and if we do, the whole club, the people behind, at the top, everything, whatever happens. They need to learn from this if we do survive, don't they? And if they don't, then I just really fear for us with them in charge.
The edict show will be probably toward nearer the end of the season, but I mean, we have to have a change of ownership because we can't change the culture. I've got this bee in my bonnet that the culture comes from the top, the leadership comes from the top, and ENIC are incapable of delivering it.
All we can do as fans, Ian, is keep doing what we did today, and we played our part then as a fan base. And then if the players can't pick themselves up when they've got this fantastic fan base behind them,
and Jimmy's just said in the chat there, Si, that we know we're going to go 3 weeks undefeated, so there's hope yet.
Yes, definitely.
Jose?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's 3 weeks now. I'm not going to say it's 3 weeks of stewing. I think it's 3 weeks of not having this hanging around my neck type thing. So I'm away for it for 3 weeks. But the week before the Sunderland game, I go to Spain to see my mum for a week. So I come back the day before the Sunderland game. And so I'm not picking up anything Tottenham till I get back from Spain. I'm going to be at peace. For me, I'll continue to support the club through thick and thin till the end of the season. And at the end of the season will be the time for me to start asking questions I mean, I'm asking questions at the moment, but to deep dive into it all would be, at the end of the season for me. I just want to see my beloved club stay up.
Yeah.
But once we stay up, things have got to change. You cannot carry on with this trajectory. Whether it be your angst is against the ownerships, the angst is against Vinay, Langer, the team, the manager, the coaches, the medic staff, whoever it may be. Set it aside. Let's get behind. I'm going to get behind the team from now to the end of the season, and then check it from there. Tara's saying, Jose, will you still support our club in the championship? I'm curious to see the
Of
true fans
course.
stick together. Right, Tara, I may not look it, but I'm old enough to remember when we went down in the mid 70s and we came
Yeah.
back up. And I supported Tottenham then, and I've supported Tottenham for over 50 years. So yeah, I'll be sticking
Yeah.
through the thick and thin, but I don't want to see us in the
I,
championship.
I watched a lot of away games that season. Brighton, Southampton, Charlton, Mansfield. Mansfield away is one of the greatest games of football I've ever seen. So yeah, but I don't want to go down. Going down, Adrian will remember that as well. Adrian's old enough to remember that. It's a different game than it was then. Of course, I'll still support Tottenham, but by God, I do not want us to go down. And yeah, some of the young players may get a chance to develop in the championship like the Hoddles and McNabs did in the 77-78 season.
But we're not
no,
talking like that. We want to stay up.
we-
We want to
absolutely,
stay up.
absolutely. Thanks for coming all the way from Frankfurt to our studio in North London, Phil.
Thanks as always. I'm looking positively, to the next game. We've got Kudus hopefully coming back soon, which will give a boost. Obviously, players like Udogi have come back now, haven't they, as well? Solanke, Richarlison, all those guys seem to be pretty fit. I hope we don't get any injuries on international duty. But I think we've got to try and be positive. We'll all support the team. For what it's worth, I don't think we will go down. I still believe that we'll stay up. I think we'll get enough points just about here and there. And unfortunately, I think we do have to rely a bit on, our competitors. Not, as I said, like not picking up enough points as well. It's a shame we can't just take it a bit more in our hands, and it's a shame we couldn't have, either one Palace or this one today, just get those 3 points on the thing. But I'm looking forward positively, and I just hope that if for whatever reason, the club decide that it's not going to be Tudor, or if his personal issues are too difficult, that they make, I say, the right decision in terms of who's going to come in. I don't trust the board. I don't trust Vinay and Johan Langer to do that. But we can only hope, can't we? We have to stay positive. I think we'll stay up though.
I hope something positive comes from the international break. I know Archie Gray and Ashley Phillips, who's captain of Stoke, are away with the under-23 squad. I hope your doggy gets game time in Italy just to get some more time on his legs. And Bergvall,
He didn't get selected, did he, in the squad, Doggy? I didn't think he got selected in the Italy squad.
Didn't he?
I don't think he did.
Okay.
No, he didn't. I don't think.
I don't think he did.
Well, we know Bergvall will play a part for Sweden because Potter was going on about him and Kulusevski before, but Kulusevski near ready. So you want him to get match sharpness. Well, if he's not, that's good. He'll be fresh, and we'll hope that like Bergvall looked bright when he came on against Atletico Madrid, right? Let's hope they'll be fresh because we're going to need them. And I really hoping that Kudus comes back because boy, could we do with him. We could do with him like when he comes back because we need some width in his team. And he's very good at holding the ball up and he'll chase everything down as well. So that'll be good. I just hope that if we, we'll talk about other games later.
Adrian, just a quick
watching us.
I'd like to see Kudus on the right and Tell on the left. That fills you with a little bit of hope, like really, because that'd be a good attacking lineup. We say
who on the right and left again, Si?
Kudus on the right, Tell
Oh
on the
yeah,
left.
yeah. If not,
Good.
if the 4-4-2 don't work and you're going with it and you try it, then at half time change it and push Richie out. You can bring Richie in for set pieces and corners, right? If he gets header in the box, but play him wide on the left or wide on the right, or tell on the other wing. You know, you can alternate those two and give Xavi some game time. You know.
Yeah.
Adrian, when are you planning on streaming again? I mean, I'm wondering. I certainly won't stream
Well,
next
while
Sunday.
we're all in such a cheerful mood, I thought I'd bring it down even further. Friday, I was thinking of doing a keep and sell through the whole squad, so that'd be fun.
I wonder if we make a
That'll last
managerial
about 3
change.
minutes.
No, it
If we
won't,
mix-
because you're not coming on.
Yeah, Adrian, I wonder if we make a managerial change, we'll maybe want to do something
If you're
in the
going to do
week.
it, you do it now. To do it now, it just smacks of desperation. I know we are in a desperate situation, but I just don't think it helps the players' confidence to have another change and someone coming in, you know.
Yeah.
But,
All right. I'm going to wrap it there, guys, and particularly those of you we nearly hit the 300 mark as well, which is always good numbers. I know there's a good number on El Tel Cockerel show. Jose's been a great friend of mine, a great friend of Adrian's, and the others probably. Great friend of this show's. So if you're with El Tel Cockerel, as I say, pop onto us and give us a like and subscribe. And if you're watching on Diehards, please get onto El Tel Cockerel and give him a like and subscribe. Thanks for your comments in the chat. It's a slightly different show to the one I planned, but yeah, a lot of great comments in the chat, and in particular, your appreciation for the show is really appreciated, because we do put a lot of thought and work into this. So, yeah, when you know you're entertaining people and people are coming back with comments, you know you're doing something right. So I'll say on behalf of myself, Si, Jose, Phil, and Adrian, thanks for watching. Keep in touch when the shows are going live, and see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, come.
Let's do this.
We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. Blue. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul, lily white and navy blue.